Today, we're diving into 1964, a year that changed music forever. Some say these songs were better than today's hits. What do you think? The year 1964 marked a seismic shift in the music industry with I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles. This Liverpool quartet, formed in 1960, didn't just create music. They sparked a cultural revolution that many industry executives initially dismissed. Record companies like Decca famously rejected them, claiming guitar groups are on the way out. This narrow-minded prediction would soon prove to be one of the most misguided assessments in music history. The Beatles' impact extends far beyond their chart-topping hits. While the band officially broke up in 1970, their influence remains unparalleled. Paul McCartney continued performing well into his 80s. Ringo Starr tours with his all-star band, while John Lennon and George Harrison left behind musical legacies that continue to inspire generations despite their tragic deaths. Their catalog generates millions in royalties annually, with streaming platforms introducing their music to new listeners daily. Few people know that I Want to Hold Your Hand was recorded on a primitive 4-track machine at EMI Studios, later Abbey Road. The Beatles had to make critical decisions about instrument placement and vocals during recording since the technology didn't allow for later adjustments. Despite these technical limitations, they created a sound that engineers with modern 64-track digital equipment still struggle to replicate with the same warmth and presence. Roy Orbison's Oh Pretty Woman showcased his otherworldly voice and storytelling abilities. Born in Texas in 1936, Orbison struggled for years before finding his distinctive sound. His image, the dark sunglasses, black clothes, and stationary performance style, wasn't a marketing gimmick, but a response to severe stage fright and poor eyesight. Many radio stations initially resisted playing his music, claiming his voice was too operatic for rock and roll. Orbison experienced devastating personal tragedies, losing his first wife in a motorcycle accident and 2 sons in a house fire. He made a remarkable comeback in the late 1980s with the Traveling Wilbury supergroup alongside Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne before his death in 1988. His final album, Mystery Girl, was released posthumously and featured collaborations with artists who had grown up idolizing him, bringing his career full circle. Orbison wrote Oh Pretty Woman in just 40 minutes with his songwriting partner Bill Dees. The song's distinctive growl came about accidentally when Orbison's voice cracked during recording. Rather than stopping the take, he incorporated the vocal break, creating one of rock's most recognizable moments. The producer wanted to edit it out, but Orbison insisted on keeping this mistake that became central to the song's appeal. House of the Rising Sun by the Animals transformed an obscure folk song into a rock masterpiece. The Newcastle band, formed in 1962, created their definitive version during a grueling tour schedule. Lead singer Eric Burdon discovered the song through Bob Dylan's interpretation, but the band's organist, Alan Price, arranged their revolutionary version. Their record label initially fought against releasing a 4-minute song when radio favored under 3 minutes, considering it commercial suicide. The Animals disbanded in 1966 due to financial disputes and management problems. Though they occasionally reunited, the original chemistry never fully returned. Eric Burdon continues performing at 83, his voice still carrying that gritty power that defined the original recording. Keyboard player Alan Price became a successful solo artist in the UK, while the other members faded from public view, some battling financial hardships despite creating one of rock's most enduring recordings. The band recorded House of the Rising Sun in just one take.
There is a house in New Orleans.
They had only 15 minutes left in their scheduled studio session when producer Mickey Most suggested trying the song they'd been performing live. The musicians were so familiar with the arrangement that they nailed it immediately, creating the definitive version that has influenced countless artists. Most remarkably, drummer John Steele had never played the song's distinctive drum pattern before that recording session. You Really Got Me by the Kinks revolutionized guitar sound with its raw power. The Davies brothers, Ray and Dave, formed the band in North London in 1963 after years of sibling rivalry that occasionally erupted into physical fights. The distorted guitar tone that defines the song came from Dave Davies slashing his amplifier speaker with a razor blade out of frustration, creating the aggressive sound that guitar players have tried to replicate ever since. Radio programmers initially rejected the track as too aggressive for mainstream audiences. The Kinks were banned from touring America from 1965 to 1969 due to the disputes with the Musicians Union, severely limiting their U.S. success compared to their British counterparts. The band continued in various forms until 1996, with the Davies brothers maintaining a famously contentious relationship. In recent years, both brothers have hinted at a potential reunion despite their legendary conflicts, with Dave recovering from a stroke in 2004 and Ray continuing to perform solo shows featuring their classic material. During recording sessions for You Really Got Me, producer Shel Talmy initially wanted session musicians to replace the band, believing they weren't technically proficient enough. A furious Ray Davies insisted on using the actual band, resulting in the authentic, energetic performance that made the song iconic. The track was recorded in a tiny London studio with basic equipment, with Dave Davies' amplifier placed in the bathroom to achieve better sound isolation. Ladies and gentlemen, these songs defined a generation's soundtrack. If you remember dancing to these hits, share your stories in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more musical journeys, and share with friends who appreciate real music. Your memories keep these classics alive. My Girl by the Temptations exemplifies the perfection of the Motown sound. The vocal group formed in Detroit in 1960, combining members from two rival singing groups. Despite their smooth harmonies on record, the group experienced significant internal conflict. Original lead singer David Ruffin developed a cocaine addiction and ego issues that led to his firing in 1968, sparking a pattern of personnel changes that would see more than 24 different singers rotate through the lineup over the decades. The lone surviving original member, Otis Williams, continues leading a version of the Temptations today at 83 years old. The group has navigated multiple musical eras while maintaining their signature sound and choreography. Their story became the basis for a hit Broadway musical and television miniseries, highlighting both their musical innovation and the personal conflicts that threatened to derail their success. The current lineup continues performing their classic hits while recording new material that honors their legacy. Smokey Robinson wrote My Girl specifically for Temptations member David Ruffin after noticing his distinctive voice wasn't being featured as a lead vocalist. The song was recorded in 2 hours with the legendary Funk Brothers providing instrumentation. The famous bass line was created by James Jamerson, who performed it while lying on his back on the studio floor after arriving intoxicated to the session, demonstrating his remarkable talent despite his condition. Where Did Our Love Go by the Supremes transformed a struggling group into superstars. Formed in Detroit in 1959 as the Primettes, the group initially faced rejection from Motown founder Berry Gordy. When finally signed, they became known as the No-Hit Supremes after releasing 8 singles that failed to crack the top 40. Holland Dozier Holland, Motown's premier songwriting team, originally wrote Where Did Our Love Go for the Marvelettes, who rejected it as too childish. The Supremes reluctantly recorded the song, with Diana Ross forced to sing in a lower register than she preferred. The success of the Supremes came with a heavy price. Florence Ballard, an original member with a powerful voice, was gradually sidelined in favor of Diana Ross, leading to Ballard's dismissal in 1967 and subsequent descent into alcoholism and poverty before her death at 32. Ross left for a solo career in 1970, achieving enormous success, while the reconstituted Supremes continued with diminishing returns until 1977. Mary Wilson, who passed away in 2021, spent decades preserving the group's legacy while fighting for royalty reform for artists of that era. The Supremes' signature hand claps on Where Did Our Love Go weren't performed by the group, but by songwriting producers Brian Holland and Lamont Dozier. The stomping beat came from barefoot dancers on a wooden platform specially built in the studio. This attention to sonic detail helped create the distinctive Motown sound that conquered the world, with the Supremes eventually scoring 12 #1 hits, rivaling the Beatles during their peak years. Dancing in the Street by Martha and the Vandellas became more than just a dance record. The group formed in Detroit in 1957, with Martha Reeves initially working as a secretary at Motown before getting her opportunity to sing. The song, co-written by Marvin Gaye, was originally intended as a straightforward dance track, but its release during the height of civil rights tensions in 1964 transformed it into an anthem for urban protesters. Some radio stations banned the song, believing the lyrics, calling out "around the world" and "summer's here and the time is right," were coded calls for demonstration. You've heard the stories behind these incredible songs that shape music forever. If these memories are sparking some of your own, please share them below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share with friends who appreciate music with substance. Let's keep the conversation about real music going strong. Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters captures summer romance with timeless appeal.
Oh, when the sun beats down and burns the tar up on the roof.
The group, formed in 1953, experienced constant lineup changes due to manager George Treadwell's controversial business model of owning the group name and paying singers as employees rather than partners. This led to multiple versions of the Drifters touring simultaneously in later years, creating confusion for fans. Lead singer Johnny Moore rejoined the group just one day before recording Under the Boardwalk, after previous lead Rudy Lewis died unexpectedly, possibly from a drug overdose. The legal battles over the Drifters' name and royalties continued for decades, with former members often performing in competing versions of the group. Despite selling millions of records, many former Drifters died in poverty due to exploitative contracts typical of that era. Bill Pinkney, an original member, founded the original Drifters to distinguish his group from the numerous imitators. Today, no original members survive, but various groups continue performing under the Drifters' name, their legacy often determined by complex licensing agreements rather than authentic musical lineage. The Times They Are A-Changin' by Bob Dylan delivered a prophetic message to a divided America. Born Robert Zimmerman in Minnesota in 1941, Dylan arrived in New York's folk scene in 1961, quickly progressing from performing traditional songs to writing material that transformed popular music's lyrical potential. He composed this anthem explicitly as a statement on the accelerating civil rights movement and generational divide, deliberately crafting it as a song with purpose. Many radio stations considered the message too provocative, limiting its airplay despite its obvious importance. At 83, Dylan continues recording and performing on what he calls the never-ending tour, having played over 3,000 shows since 1988. His willingness to reinvent himself repeatedly, from folk prophet to rock innovator to born-again Christian to American traditionalist, has frustrated fans but secured his artistic legacy. The Nobel Prize in Literature awarded to him in 2016 confirmed his status as more than just a songwriter. His recent work explores mortality and American musical traditions with the same uncompromising attitude that characterized his 1960s output. These 10 songs from 1964 changed music forever, laying groundwork for everything that followed. Please share your memories in the comments, subscribe for more musical deep dives, and remember, they don't make them like this anymore.